I'm going to go ahead and start this roundtable introduction. So thank you everybody so much for joining. We currently have 30 people, but I think some more people will join as we go through. So yeah, today, our first Zogo roundtable. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much. I know some of you are existing partners and some of you are new partners or potential partners, I should say. So thank you so much for joining today. And with these Zogo roundtables, we're going to be doing monthly discussions available to all of you, no matter if you're partners or not. So we're delighted to welcome you to this, and I'm going to go ahead and jump into a presentation to show you all today. Today's topic, so 5 college students reveal things they hate about their banks. Now, I should preface this by saying that the word hate is used lightly. We, as Gen Z, a vocal generation, we like to speak up about things, and you know, we may use the word hate, but it's really because we like to get our points across sometimes and really be open about what we think. So just a quick introduction today to what we have in store. So I'm going to do a quick introduction to Zogo and basically what the roundtable is, and then we'll jump into a discussion. So we have 5 wonderful college students today that have kindly offered to speak with us, and I'm going to ask them various questions, and you as well. If you'd like to leave questions in the chat on the side, we will open up to a Q&A at the end. So Generation Z, we are the vocal generation, or so we say, but I believe that at least. So what do we mean by that? I mean, Generation Z really want to be heard. We take to the streets when it comes to issues like climate change. We speak out when it comes to issues about politics or other things. But the issue with personal finance is we at Zogo feel like young people really don't have a platform to speak about these kinds of issues, you know, how they're approaching college and credit and building good credit and student debt and all these other things. And really, these Zogo roundtables are going to provide the perfect platform for young people to speak up about what they think. And yeah, it will just be a great discussion space. And we're really excited that you guys can engage with us and ask us questions. And yeah, so what is the Zogo Roundtable? So it's going to be a monthly roundtable discussion series with college students from across the US. Very diverse, you know, we will be picking people from all over, from different backgrounds, and really you'll just have an array of different opinions and everything you would really need. So we're really excited for how these are going to unfold. So the roundtable is really going to provide an open and transparent discussion space. So this is going to be a discussion space between young people, hosted by young people. And really, we're going to be very honest about our thoughts relating to personal finance. And we think that will provide financial institutions that are watching great insight into what we actually think, the changes we would like to see in the future, and everything to do with that. So I hope you all enjoy this discussion today and take a lot from it. And in the future roundtables, we hope to do the same. So today's chat, I have split today up into 4 different sections. I think in the roundtables in the future, we'll be going more in depth into specific topics, but for today, I've broken it up into 4 different sections. So we're going to cover building credit, student debt, mobile banking, and gaining financial literacy. So I'm going to ask various questions to all of our college students relating to these 4 topics, get their thoughts, you know, issues they have with existing methods to do with these, things they'd like to see integrated into the future, and give you some ideas of how maybe you could change your practice or integrate new features to really connect with younger generations. So with that being said, I am going to jump straight into our discussion. So let me just, there we go. So I have 5 wonderful college students with me today, and I'd love if they could each introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you went to school, how old you are, maybe what you studied, and yeah, just what stage you're at. So why don't we go in alphabetical order? So Betty, do you want to go ahead, and then Caitlin, and then Chuck, and then Deja and Tyler?
Hi, thanks, Lucas. My name is Betty Wang, and I'm 22, recent graduate from Cornell University last spring in May 2020, and I majored in Asian Studies and minored in Asian American Studies. I guess where I am right now in my financial literacy journey, it's really been about focusing on using Zogo, the app, and figuring out how to do taxes for this year.
Hi guys, my name is Caitlin. I am also a recent grad 2020 from Texas A&M University. I majored in international business and I'm from Houston, Texas. I guess my financial literacy journey is definitely similar, just figuring out I'm gonna have to do taxes this year, so that'll be fun.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chuck. I recently graduated in December from Xavier University here in cold Cincinnati, Ohio. I majored in biology with a minor in chemistry. Really excited to kind of voice some of my thoughts here and hear what everyone else has to say as well.
Hi, I'm Deja Dennis. I am getting my master's degree in nursing from Emory University. I just finished my first week of school, so yay me. But in my financial journey, I'm just trying to get myself to where my credit is well enough to hopefully be able to buy either a townhome or a house. So I'm happy to share all of the advice or anything that I can give that some people may not know.
Hi, everybody. My name's Tyler Goldman. I'm a senior at Penn State University. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I am studying finance. So I'm excited to be here and share my thoughts as a college student on personal finance and everything that goes along with that. So thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. So there are wonderful guests. I'm going to jump straight into the discussion and starting off with the first section for today. So building credit. So credit is an interesting topic. I personally, when I was growing up, didn't know much about it. I think it has quite a mystery surrounding it, especially when you're in those like late teen stages. You sort of think, oh, the credit card is amazing, you know, free money. I mean, you have to pay it back, but I didn't realize the implications of actually paying, you know, off the money off credit cards, and you know how building up your credit has so many like implications with it, and it's just super important. So I'd like to ask a couple of questions to do with this and see what our guests think in terms of that. So I guess the first question is, at what age did you guys get a credit card, and is there a particular age that you think someone should get a credit card? So maybe Tyler, did you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, definitely. So I got my first credit card entering my freshman year of college. So I was 17 years old. And I thought that was a really important decision. I'm lucky enough to have my father who works in finance, and he always expressed to me the importance of having strong personal finance and building credit. So college is really that first point where you're accumulating expenses on your own. So each month I would have to pay off my balance and really learn about being on time and then not accumulating interest if you were late. So I believe once you're on your own, especially for a young person, that would be a great time to start building your credit and managing your own personal finances.
Yeah. Deja, did you have any thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I agree completely. I got my first credit card going into my freshman year of college. I was 18. In the same, my mom works in finance, so she thought it was important that I learn how to build my credit and just to learn about paying payments on time, because it seems to be a downfall for a lot of first-time credit users or people who first get their credit card. So yeah, I think definitely as soon as you're able to, especially if you have someone knowledgeable in your life, definitely get one to start building credit, because it's essential for when you graduate or even in school when you want to get things.
No, definitely. Deja, so entering college, did you sort of understand how important building credit was and having good credit? And did you understand sort of the implications of that?
So I didn't really understand a lot about good credit, because although my mom worked in finance, I never inquired or really cared to ask about things like that, because I didn't realize its importance. I did know, because she definitely stressed to me a lot, things that can make your credit bad and how hard it is to get your credit back in good standing once it is messed up. So a lot of things that I tried to avoid. I know she said never be late, like like Tyler said, pay off your balances when you're able to not accumulate interest and things like that. So I knew all the things not to do, but I didn't really know a lot to build my credit up from where it was.
Awesome. And Betty, did you have any, did you also, entering college for you, did you know like how important building credit was? Was that something you were sort of familiar with, or did you sort of realize it like throughout your college years?
So when I first entered college, that was also when I got a credit card, similar to the other folks here. But the thing is, like, my parents don't have really an educational background. They're immigrants, came to the US. I'm a first generation student, low income background. And really what all it was my mom brought me to the bank in person. We opened up an account, and that was it. She kind of just told me, okay, this is your card, wait for everything to come in the mail and you can start using it. And then I kind of just knew, like, okay, so if I use a credit card, that's using money that's not my own, and so I have to pay it off as soon as possible. But then like debit is like kind of just like using a gift card, like having a balance, and that would be it. Sorry, that's my brother in the background. And then like it was really just like, okay, so I don't really know anything about what's happening, but I know my bank like has a mobile banking app, so let me just
No worries, no worries,
so
Betty.
sorry.
No, no, no.
Um,
Sorry.
So I just like basically downloaded the app for my bank, and then I was like, okay, I guess I have to figure out how to do this, like how to add my card on here, and like how to like figure out like my account and things like that.
Mhm.
And yeah, I was just kind of thrown into it. And I still kind of don't understand everything that like is in the mobile banking app. So like I've kind of kept it really simple. Okay, I see the balance, I'll pay it off
Mhm.
by the month that's listed there.
Mhm.
But I guess like that one like mystifying aspect is like that minimum balance that you could pay a month. Like if you ever see that, like it'll be like, oh, you can pay like this minimum amount, like instead of like the full statement. So I was just like confused, and still kind of don't really get it, but like I had tried like just paying that minimum amount, but it didn't really make sense to me. Yeah, anyway, that's like a long story, but like long story short, you
No,
know,
fair
it
enough.
was
Thanks so much.
pretty confusing.
I think we can all admit that it's a learning experience, all of this, but I think these discussion spaces are going to be perfect for learning more just about everything, in terms of credit and everything else. So yeah, thanks so much. Also, I just wanted to mention, if you have any questions, leave them in the chat and we'll get to them at the end after the discussion. So if any of the people watching have questions, just leave them in there and we'll get them to get to them at the end. So Tyler, do you think like banks and financial institutions do a good job of shedding light on, building credit and how important it is to younger generations currently? Like, do
Yes.
you think they do a decent job of that?
So to be honest with you, I would lean more on the side of saying, in my experience, banks work to persuade people or younger people just to sign up. I know at Penn State, maybe not anymore with the pandemic, but your first week back at school for each semester, there are these giant career fairs. And intermixed with the career fairs are different booths for banks. With I just clearly remember there being signs saying, open a line of credit here and get a few $100 to start. And there was never this direction of open this line of credit so you can start building strong credit for your future. It was more just, we want you to sign up here and then maybe we'll reap the benefits of it in the future. But yeah, I definitely don't think there's been a strong communication of how important it is. At least with myself and my friends, I don't think everyone understands it as much as they should.
And do you have any suggestions as to how maybe financial institutions could shed light on it? I'm trying to think what like some ideas they could implement would be. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that.
Yeah, off the top of my head, it's pretty popular statement that college students are usually low on funds around the year. So I'm thinking that maybe an incentive program where signing up with so-and-so bank can offer small amounts of cash as a reward for on-time payments, or some some type of performance goal based on really good credit management. The better you do, the more on time your payments are, you'll get more rewards, you'll get more cash, because college students are always looking for little ways to get just a little bit more money to go out or buy that extra textbook they might need. So some way to return some money back to the college students, but also communicate to them why they're doing this and how building credit can be really important for them. And I think that'd be a great way to show it.
No, for sure. I mean, even just like free coffee. I feel like if I was getting free coffee or something in college as an incentive, like 100%, I would be on board. Deja, did you have any like thoughts on things that financial institutions could do to shed light on this?
Yeah, I was thinking more at the high school level because I feel like, well, just thinking about when I was in high school, not everyone I went to high school with did go to college, but banks are regulated by the government. So I really feel like it should be a part of school curriculums, like that people learn in their junior or senior year, so that if you make bad financial or credit decisions, then at least you were informed as to the decisions that you were making. I feel like a lot of people make bad decisions because they don't know that they're bad decisions to make credit wise. So some way of implementing it as a finance course that's required, or I know in economics, the most I learned about credit in high school was the definition of credit. And that was it. So even incorporating it into courses more structurally so that people can know the ins and outs of credit before they go into college or just into life when they can get credit cards and stuff.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. So I guess moving on to student debt as a theme, I mean, at the end of 2020, student debt in total across the USA hit $1.7 trillion, which is a mind-blowing number and kind of crazy to think. And it's increasing like over 4% year on year. So this is a major issue. And I think student debt is sometimes like swept under the rug because it's a sensitive issue to touch on. But I was wondering, Chuck, were you aware of like the implications of taking on student debt when you were first applying to colleges?
When I was first applying to colleges, not really. And no, I will be like full clarity. I did choose more of a local university that offered to take care of a lot of my tuition. I knew that I wanted personally to leave school and feel like I was in a good financial place. But at the same time, throughout that entire journey of college, I was one of the very few that was in that position. And a lot of my friends going through this path of school and then carried on to life afterwards with me, it was very clear that they had no idea what they were doing, and that, you know, they're making decisions still today. You know, I graduated a semester later, but they're making decisions still completely based on, you know, the fact that they have this debt and, you know, when are they going to be net positive? I mean, they don't know. But I mean, clearly something can be done about that because the student debt conversation could probably carry on for hours.
Yeah, no, I know. I mean, maybe we'll have to have a whole like Zogo roundtable just dedicated to the topic. But yeah, I guess Caitlin, do you think like financial institutions do like a good job at shedding light on how important it is to pay off student debt? Because I think, you know, something, you know, you can just like not pay it off and it just leave it and it just like keeps on building up, and that is, you know, something that sadly happens and sadly something that people just have to do because they just don't have the means to pay it off. But do you think like yeah, financial institutions do a decent job at like shedding light on how important it is to really pay it off?
Personally, I can only speak on my experiences and the experiences of people around me. And no, for me, only because I feel like I've had little interaction with financial institutions, just, banks, credit unions that, I'm a member to. Like, it's just, I open an account and then I leave, and then it is what it is. So I think that student loans and like the actual concept of what it is the least talked about subject, not only from financial institutions, but also schools as well. So no, at the moment.
Yeah, I guess like a lot of this stuff just loops back to high school as well. I mean, if just a lot of this stuff was implemented into, high school education systems, then I think a lot more light would be shed on these topics. But yeah, I guess with like the complex topic of student debt, and I don't know how we would, get around to solving something like this. Chuck and Caitlin, did you have any like ideas of ways we could combat the student debt crisis as a whole, or I don't know if you had any thoughts on this. I mean, this is such a hard thing to tackle.
I guess I'll go first really quick because from my experience, I went to a system school before I went to Texas A&M just because it was like particularly cheaper than actually just going to the university as a freshman, which I think a lot of people do. A lot of people go to community colleges, JCs before 2 years before just to like make the cost of college a lot less, but still be able to go to their dream school. I think definitely destigmatizing that and making that, an okay route to go and still have a successful career would definitely be like an option. And also just making college more affordable. I know that's a big feat because it's obviously going to be a challenge that everybody has to kind of come together to complete, but that would be like my two biggest ideas.
Yeah, I mean, one just initial comment that I have personally is the fact that if school's remote, I think that's a whole different conversation on how much it should cost. But I think the real answer to this question is just education. I mean, if you asked me a year ago what a loan was, I mean, again, I'm a biology student, chemistry minor. If you ask me questions about the human body, like I've got you. But if you ask me what a loan is, which is probably more important than the knowledge that I gained, I have no idea. To go into college knowing, okay, I'm going to go into debt with the credit card. And when I'm actually having to pay that off, this is debt. This isn't money that I own. So I think just knowing all of that, but also receiving it in a way where I want to know it. I mean, thinking back to high school, like this was the last thing I worried about. But when I went to college, it's the first thing I worried about. So my answer to that in one word is just education.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%, 100%. So I guess moving on to mobile banking, us as like Generation Z, as like the younger generations, we all grew up with mobile phones. They were always like in sight or we had them in our hand. So growing up with that, I guess maybe there was some expectation on our side that, financial institutions should be like mobile driven and everything should just be like easy to access on our phone at all times. And we do have a certain expectation of that because we essentially grew up with it. I wanted to ask some of you, like your thoughts on like the state of mobile banking and, maybe some things we could do to make it more efficient or better. So I guess like Betty, do you think that financial institutions are like invested in making everything like on the mobile? Like, do you think that's like the forefront of their mind, or like, are you personally still inclined to go to like a physical branch of a bank, or would you just prefer everything to just be on your mobile?
Great question. I think that most likely everyone's seeing the shift in going from paper to digital, and definitely I think that there's more concentration on having a really good mobile banking app. I know for me, I use Citibank personally, and they're always making updates to the app. And I've also have experience using Bank of America, so like I've seen their app as well, and I would say that people of our generation definitely are more inclined to stay um, like on their phones instead of going into trip physically. Especially because like when you go in physically to the branch, there's like you're taking out a lot of time of your day to like make sure you get there, and then also every time I walk by the bank I see like a huge line, so it's really like I not only schedule like maybe an appointment to go in, but I'll also end up waiting to be seen. And so like if I can accomplish something in the comfort of my home or wherever I am, in a safe space, that I'd rather prefer to do that. So basically I do try to like go on like the help desk through like the mobile app or on my bank's website, and then if I can't accomplish it through chat, then I'll make a phone call. But I guess like what you can tell is like people our age kind of like don't really are kind of like moving away from phone calls. Maybe it's just me, but I know a lot of my friends personally kind of don't like talking to strangers, or like they feel very apprehensive about making that first phone call, and want to accomplish everything through chat.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. So Tyler, I wanted to ask you, there's been like this rise recently in like online banking apps and also like online like app-based payment apps. So I'm thinking like Chime or Venmo as some examples that are really popular. Um, why do you think like these online only banks and app-based payment platforms are so popular amongst young people, especially because I mean, for me personally, I haven't used Venmo myself because I'm actually based in the UK, but like I hear Venmo everywhere and just like everybody's like Venmo me and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, oh, like it's really like tapping into young people and like making it easy for young people. I was wondering if you had any thoughts as to like why those sorts of apps are so attractive to our generation.
Yeah, so Chime, I'm not as familiar with. I know it is an online bank and they have no fees. They don't want to take any money from the customers that use it. And just like Betty was kind of saying, any online platform that is easier to access from the comfort of your own home is going to be the preferred choice for, it's a big statement, but for anyone our age, I would see them rather doing something on their phone at home than having to go physically to the bank. Um, but on the other hand, Venmo, like you were saying, that is one of the most popular apps with anyone at Penn State or across the whole United States, particularly because of how easy it is. Like when you go to a restaurant and you're with a bunch of friends, you can split the whole check right there. And again, to college students who are spending money, no one wants to put one big bill on their card. So the fact that you can just split it right there is really a great tool. And I've already used Venmo today 3 times with my friends. But I also want to say about Venmo that there are a bunch of app-based payment apps, but what Venmo does differently, I think, is they have a social media platform within their app, kind of a little bit more detailed than the other ones. So when you're sending a payment to a friend, you can add a little fun note or a message. And even with all the different types of apps, I think that's really the thing that has attracted people to it, is that it's more personable. And that little social media function really made a difference in getting users onto their platform.
Good answer. Betty, I wanted to ask you one more question about mobile banking. I guess as like we're going into the future, what is something that you think financial institutions could do to make maybe their mobile banking apps more accessible or more appealing to younger people? I mean, I know we all use our mobile banking apps, but sometimes I don't know, they like, how could they be designed to be more like appealing to younger people if they even can? I mean, I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, sure. I think this question could be also addressed, like not just like about young people, but people in general. I think like, today's society, we're very, very much visual creatures, and we really like aesthetically pleasing things to look at. And so I think a big plus is if you can make your mobile banking app look really pleasant, not only functional, but to not look outdated, keeping up with the times, having like really nice color schemes, staying consistent with that. And then to move on to like more functions, what I've noticed between using like my Citibank app versus like the Bank of America one is like, I like the way that the Citibank app looks more, but the Bank of America one does incorporate their artificial intelligence system. I forget what the name is, but they have like this robot or whatever. You can open up the chat through the mobile banking app and then basically kind of ask your question, and if it can be answered through the AI, it'll do so. If not, it'll just direct you straight to like a phone. And so I think that is definitely like way better and way more appealing. It kind of puts like the information at your fingertips. I think that's definitely something that's appealing for younger generations. And then again, if we move back to like Venmo, if we compare like Venmo versus like the banking institutions equivalent, like Zelle, if you ever heard of it, there's definitely like a big difference. Like Zelle is I'd say like almost as easy to use as Venmo, but it's just not as fun. And also like adding people is not the same. Like so yeah, Zelle usually uses like the phone number or email to send money, and whereas like Venmo is definitely more closer in line with PayPal and I would say like even Snapchat, like it uses like the QR code kind of function to add friends on Venmo. And so like that very like social aspect makes it very interesting and appealing. So I think there's a lot of different like aspects that could be incorporated into a mobile app, but at the forefront, it definitely has to be very functional, and all the information kind of needs to be situated very intuitively so people who are new to banking can understand what's happening. So like yeah, I guess like having a maybe like a little more tabs, like more functions, but also keeping like the main homepage interface like very simple is my recommendation, I guess.
No, that was super insightful. Thanks, Betty. I think, yeah, I guess we just really value efficiency and I guess also aesthetics. I mean, no more Comic Sans. That's like what I say. I mean, I'm done with Comic Sans, so please no more of that. Okay, final topic. So gaining financial literacy. So I think this is something that's come up a lot throughout, the questions before, but really drilling in like the idea of learning about personal finance at an early age and how to get that into high schools, how to get young people engaging with it. It's a really tough hurdle, but like really, really valuable. So I wanted to speak about that for a little bit. So yeah, unfortunately, financial literacy is just rarely taught in schools. So we as younger generations are just left to sort of like figure it out on our own, whether that be through watching YouTube videos or just like looking at your bank balance and being like, oh no, like what am I supposed to do now? But yeah, I wanted to open up some questions to do with this. So I guess Caitlin, when you were in high school or college, did you have any classes relating to personal finance? Did you feel like they were trying to like educate you on this, or yeah, what was your high school / college experience like in relation to personal finance?
Yeah, for sure. It's funny because in high school, I was probably afforded to like a rarity situation to where like I did take one finance class my mom forced me to take, and I was super annoyed and irritated because it counted as one of my electives and it was supposed to be fun, but it was boring. And I remember the only thing I took away from that class was knowing what like an unsubsidized versus a subsidized loan was, and that's it. But most people don't know that even. So good takeaway. But in college, whenever I studied, I was in a more business forward major. So I did have classes in finance and accounting, but very conceptual, nothing real world, very broad. And like, we learned stuff about it, but it wasn't ever in practice for our own lives. It was always based on like what the world was doing, what the US was doing. So I think that while even majoring in something that's super business forward, super, even finance itself, if I would just major in finance, a lot of my friends who did will still say they know very conceptualized knowledge. So I think that even if you do have those certain things in place for you, it's still hard to, I think they just need to be more personalized how you should do this in the real world.
Yeah, no, for sure. Was there, Caitlin, for you, was there a time, growing up where or like a moment in your life where you realized I really need to learn about personal finance. I really need to like take this into my own hands. And yeah, was there a pivotal moment like that?
I think honestly, truly, it's been like last year. I mean, 2020 obviously was like a sucky year for everybody, but just seeing everybody starting to get like furloughed and it being so difficult for me to find any type of job prospects at all, I got really worried because like this idea of like you go to college, you do as well as you can. I was, trying to do my best, and then I'm supposed to get out of college and then something great was supposed to happen. I was supposed to find my career, and I think whenever that reality wasn't necessarily met at all, I was kind of humbled in the fact that I'm like, I really need to focus on how I can, manage my finances better. Not to get into like a personal story too much, but one of my parents got sick quite recently and had to, step away from his job. So, I felt obligated, like I need to get a job really quickly. So that was kind of like a very aggressive situation to where I was like, okay, I need to be able to help out my family, which a lot of people, it's their reality. So I think that school and college, while they were great tools, I loved going to college and my experience, but it definitely didn't prepare us quite well for like the real world and like real situations like that.
Yeah, Chuck, did you have a moment in your life where you sort of like thought to yourself, oh, I just don't like know nearly enough about personal finance, and like I got to figure this out for myself?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say the stage one was college because you have a job that you can work on while you're in school and you have some money, but the truth is you always seem to be spending more than you actually have. So it comes into just really like budgeting. But stage two was definitely the end of college when it is okay, rent, car insurance, insurance in general, all those things that you previously were already thinking about or not are like they're your life now. You don't have a choice other than figuring that out. So it was definitely at that moment where it became crucial.
Yeah, no, definitely. Caitlin, do you feel like in terms of like responsibility, do you think it's like a parent's job to, teach their kids about personal finance, or do you think it's like the schools that should take responsibility for that, or the financial institutions? I mean, if you think someone needs to take responsibility for like teaching younger generations about this, I mean, it's kind of a hard thing to like wrap your head around, but I guess someone has to teach us at the end of the day.
100%. Yeah, definitely loaded question, but I think it's good to point out just because I think, me personally, I think that parents should be at a younger age. I've obviously not had the experience of being a parent, so I know it's probably hard just in any capacity to teach your kids about literally every single thing they need to do to be successful in life. But I feel like with money, teaching like your kids the value of money and that, this isn't just stuff to burn. You can't, you are taught those like little things is good, but we shouldn't just rely solely on parents just because everybody has such different experiences. Maybe your parents struggled financially as well. And like, I would never want someone to be like, not having an equal opportunity, I guess, to like learn about financial literacy just if it was all based upon the parents' knowledge and based upon if they feel like having those conversations with them. So with schools, I think it'd be a lot better if it was taught more, less conceptually and more personal, more real world experiences, maybe based on like the teachers' experiences as well. But financial institutions, I definitely think they need to have more of a role in this regard, just because they want our business. They want us to open accounts with them. So like having that, and I guess to incentivize us to want to be able to work with them as well would be great. So I think that all three play a role, but I think they play each a different role.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, go ahead, Chuck.
Make a comment on that as well. I think it'd be awesome if parents could teach kids about it. I think that it's not something that even parents really know like the back of their hand. So if they do, then sure, that's a great place for it. Schools, I just don't think learning about financial education in schools, while it'd be cool if schools did it more, I don't think it's ever going to be sexy to like learn about finances at school. And the bullies are always going to be in there making jokes about how this isn't fun, screw this, whatever. But when it comes to financial institutions, this is where like I am working and trusting my money to go. And like, these are the people that I'm trusting, with my money. And I'd like to learn how to be an adult with that institution that I'm literally going through these life stages with. My opinion is I'd like to get it. I think I'd take it more seriously if it came from a financial institution.
No, 100%. Yeah. I mean, for me personally, that's been, a pretty insightful discussion and a lot to think about. And these topics are really complex. And I think as we go through these discussions every month, we're going to focus on individual topics more in depth. But I hope for everybody that's given a taster for what's to come and given you some insight on what we genuinely think as young people. So I just wanted to use this opportunity really quick to introduce you to who Zogo are. So we are a financial learning app, essentially, so a gamified app. I want to share my screen really quick so you guys can see what our app looks like, because we partner with financial institutions across the US. And we think for us, this is the perfect tool that could really bridge this gap of education in high school and even over college. It's been a really big hurdle for all of us learning about personal finance, and we think one of the ways to just get younger people to engage more with personal finance and learning about it is to make it more interactive, make it more engaging, incentivized. So really, us at Zogo, we came up with this app with hopes that we would be able to achieve, financial literacy across all the younger generations and for futures to come. And so, yeah, we absolutely adore our app, and we're really lucky that we get to work on it every day. And so we've recently hit 100,000 users of the app. It's currently on the App Store. And then we also have partnered with 75 financial institutions across the US. And yeah, this is an app designed by Gen Z for Gen Z. So really, it's like the perfect product in our eyes. And it's accessible, engaging, and authentic. And we really just think it's such a great product. And I wanted to show you that today. For those of you who aren't familiar with Zogo, that's who we are. I'm on the Zogo team, by the way. Hey. So yeah, that's Zogo. And then if you are interested in the app and to demo it, you can head to our website at zogofinance.com and request a demo today. And we can see how we could help your financial institution, credit union, anyone reach Gen Z and really help you hit that goal. So now I'd love to open up to the questions because we have quite a few questions. So let's get to these. So jumping into the comments. So Candice Richards asks, what do you look for when shopping for a credit card as a college student? Chuck, do you want to jump on that one?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute there. That's a great question. First answer to that, the first credit card I looked for was kind of like a secured-esque credit card because I couldn't get any other credit card. Wanted to build my credit so that I could have a credit score where I could get the actual one I wanted. And the actual one I wanted definitely involved rewards and rewards that were easy to redeem. I've gone through quite a bit of credit cards now, but I think a lot of Gen Zs have this thought of like, I want to travel. I love traveling. I think this concept of travel, I think this concept of just cash, I think that's what I've grown to is like, I just want a card that gives me cash back. That's my thought.
For sure. Did anybody have some other thoughts on that?
I really agree with Chuck on the travel aspect. A lot of my friends would love like that have those incentives built in as well.
For sure. So Madeline asks, how would you prefer to learn about mobile apps and other aspects of credit? Would you like it to be a blog or in-person Zoom sessions? I don't know, Tyler, do you have any ideas of like how you would like to learn more about credit and like the medium? Like, would you like it to be sort of on a blog or an app or like Zoom sessions, or like what do you think you personally most engage with?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a hard question to answer. It kind of depends on the person almost. But for me, I would say Zoom sessions like this and from people that I really want to listen to, where if you advertise it as just these random bankers are talking about how to build credit. That's not really going to make me want to listen to it. This might be a very forward thinking idea, but I know there have been celebrities who have partnered with different banks to try to talk about this type of stuff in personal finance. But I think that's the stuff that really attracts younger people, is seeing, for example, Kevin Durant, the basketball player, talking about personal finance with JP Morgan. Stuff like that is what's going to get our generation to pay attention.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Okay, let's keep on going through these because we have quite a few. So Candace also asked, will this recording of the webinar be shared with attendees after the event? Yes, we are recording this webinar currently, and this will be posted on our website and to our YouTube channel. Polly says, this is a great platform and very helpful. Thank you. We think so too. So Madeline asks, what's the best way to offer educational sessions so that they won't conflict with class schedules? Podcasts, multiple offerings, shorter sessions? That's a good question, actually. I don't know, Deja, did you have any ideas of like for, especially for high school students, like what would be a good medium so that it doesn't conflict with schedules? Like, do you think they'd engage with podcasts, let's say?
I think some people are into podcasts. I personally don't really like to sit and listen to people talk, and I can't really see them. But I think Zogo is like the perfect example. You can do it when you want to. Just like with the credit cards, there's incentives for doing it. And then you learn a lot really easily. It's broken down, very concise, really simple. And then also you get tested on what you know, just to make sure that you really understand. So I think just making it in such a way that it's easily accessible, even if you did videos that maybe 5-minute videos about certain credit topics that you can break down. I think that would get people's attention, especially if the person narrating, if it was a cartoon or if it was somebody who, like Tyler said, is famous or something like that.
Yeah, totally. And I think for me personally, I actually learned a lot about personal finance through YouTube. So like I follow a lot of YouTubers that talk about personal finance, and yeah, like definitely for me, I like seeing like their face and like visuals to accompany it. And just like with YouTube, it's great because all the videos are pretty short and I can just watch them, you know, when my schedule allows. And yeah, when I was in college, I could just like watch videos in between classes. So yeah, I guess just like accessible content, and just, yeah, I like personally prefer like visual mediums, like these kinds of discussions, let's say, or like YouTube videos over podcasts. But again, like podcasts are super popular. So it's really whatever works for you best, I guess. So Lynn says, would students want to spend time using an interactive online financial literacy platform if your credit union offered it? Did anybody have any thoughts on that?
Why not just Google it?
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
No, really, I think that if it's gamified, yeah, I think the gamification, I guess something I'm willing to stick with. But I think it really just comes down to just honest truth, finding the shortest YouTube video or Investopedia or something that I can just very quickly Google and find the answers, like one of the first 3 top results.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think, like, as you said, Google is such a great resource, and it, you know, it holds all the answers, but it's about like how you present that to younger people. You know, we could all Google everything, but we just don't really like want to do that, or we don't have like the patience to do that, or we don't want to read about it. So it's really about like finding different ways to engage younger audiences and like offer this information up in like ways that are like digestible to young people. And I guess because we grew up with mobile phones and screens, we're accustomed to that, and we like sort of visuals to accompany that. So I think that's why for us at Zogo is such an incredible app, because it really integrates you know, the interactive element, the like aesthetically pleasing visuals. It's like it quizzes you. It's engaging rather than just reading a text on like a Wikipedia page, which again offers the same information, but it's not. You really learn when you're like engaged with the platform and you're enjoying it. And with stuff, you know, looking it up on Google, it's not going to stick in your brain either, I guess. Well, that's my take.
Yeah, I also noticed that I missed the interactive part. Yeah, if it's interactive in like a game, I would definitely use it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Okay, so, oh, wait, go ahead.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just gonna say just what Chuck was saying about like trying to find the shortest YouTube video for things. That's definitely me. That especially for something that I'm not like fully knowledgeable about, or I'm like I had to watch a video about how to change a tire and I'm trying to find like the shortest possible one. That's definitely like part of our generation. I think that stereotype is true. We don't have very long attention spans.
For sure. I mean, I think especially with, platforms like TikTok, we're accustomed to like very short, like bite-sized videos. So you just got to play into that. I mean, frankly, Gen Z, we don't have the patience for like long, like extensive videos. And if you really want to like engage, you just have to keep up with the times, I guess. And yeah, TikTok's like a great example of that. I follow a lot of like personal finance TikToks, and they just do like these literally like 30-second snippets of various personal finance things. And honestly, it's great. I can watch it whenever, and it still keeps me engaged because it's super short. So yeah, breaking it up. So next one. So Jordan asks, what is the best approach to create interest in financial literacy to high school students who show no interest?
I can talk about it a little bit. I know for me in elementary and middle school, we had Western Mutual Wednesdays, which is where you could come as a kid and open up a bank account. So I think we didn't have anything like that in high school though. So I think maybe transferring something like that over to the high school way, it's an easy way to get out of class, because I got out of class for an hour in elementary and middle school for no reason really, just to learn about saving money. So if you tell someone they can get out of class and it's a way for them to make money, most people are interested. So if there's a way for institutions to come into schools, I know in some underserved communities they have that, just to teach kids and just a way to get out of class. Or I know in our AP economics class, just because you were in a higher achieving class, so to speak, you got to go on more field trips that shows you how to incorporate the knowledge that you learned in class more. So I'm not sure if banks or credit unions are able to partner with schools to help fund or give options about things that you could do or teach kids on field trips and things like that. I think it's more interesting for high school students. Of course, not everyone is going to be interested, but you do what you can, and that's all you can do.
No, for sure. Okay, so Lynn asks, would you
I,
trust?
I had a point real quick to
Yeah, yeah.
that.
No, go ahead, Tyler. Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Just to emphasize what Deja said, we also had a similar program at my high school with TrueMark. And I just would like to say that they were very successful in getting an hour out of class to get on a bus and go to TrueMark and to open up an account and learn anything to get out of class for that 1 hour. That was like such a win to everybody. So that had a lot of participation in it, at least in my experience.
For sure. Awesome. So Lynn asks, would you trust a financial institution more talking via video chat versus making a phone call? So Betty, I think this goes back to what you were saying earlier, but did you want to comment on that? Like, what's your like favorite way of communication? I mean, I think I know it's not over the phone, maybe.
Let me just say video chat will be even worse than a phone call. It will definitely be worse. What we want is to have everything written form. So having a live chat is definitely, I think, the way to go, because I think a video chat will not only take more time in case there's technological difficulties, but it's also kind of awkward that you're talking to someone and you have to see them. Um, so I think definitely like if you can just kind of have like a really, really good like customer service support, or maybe like a really responsive email address that people can send messages to, that will be very successful.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, here at Zogo, we like don't have any automated response system or chat messages. We just do everything like on our own, and we just have, two people that cover, any customer issues 24/7 over email. And I think honestly, that's the way to go. It's just like keeping it personal, but also, yeah, sometimes it can be hard to, speak on the phone or on video, especially when you're younger and you don't have sort of the confidence speaking about these certain topics. So yeah, it's there's sort of a fine line, I guess. So Danielle asks, what is the appeal to Gen Z about having social interaction for payments that Venmo provides? For example, what do people want to share with others when they are making payments for, etc.? Does anybody have any thoughts on that?
I can take that one. So for Venmo, I think this appeal with the social media interaction is it's just that one little added aspect to it that is getting that app more attention than any of the others. So when I'm going to Venmo John, one of my friends, me and him, I can write a little funny thing to John about the bad food we got that he paid for that I have to split with. So it's not much at all, but it's just that it's a little bit more than what you're used to from nothing that makes it really attractive, I think.
Oh, I'd like to add on to that. Like also I know like maybe not you guys, but I know like a lot of my friends, they won't even like write what they're splitting payment for. They will just put emojis or like something really random or like doesn't really give anyone any context. So like if it is being like publicly shared, that's also like a function that Venmo allows you to change if you want your transactions to be seen by yourself, by your friends, or like to the public or something like that. So like I like for privacy issues, it's not really like a problem. And then like that also just like adding on to Tyler just makes it really fun.
Awesome. So Michael asks, would you be more receptive to personal finance education from your financial institution? So I'm going to quickly jump on that and say, I think one of the things that's really important with financial institutions when it comes to financial education is just having resources that really engage with young people. If that's who you're trying to target, it's about how you like offer the information. You know, is it interactive? Is it engaging? Is it aesthetically pleasing? That's in my eyes the things that are really important when it comes to like actually trying to get people to be receptive to these financial education offerings. So I don't know, did anybody else have anything to add to that, Caitlin?
I will say also, Lucas, like you made a good point. It's not even just about the fact whether or not we're getting this information from schools or our parents. Like I think that where that may be a good avenue, it's also like maybe your parents don't have like the best up to date information. I mean, like I just know I'm around my grandparents too, and half the stuff there didn't exist in the time they were alive. So, they were like, no, like, I have to get that information somewhere else. And I think that financial institutions, like they're the experts. So like we should be going to the experts of, the knowledge, straight, no middleman situation. I think that like, I don't know, that just makes sense to me more than like a school or like, getting it from your parents because you might get totally different answers.
For sure. I'm going to fire through a couple of these last questions because we only have 2 minutes left, but here is a good one. So Dennis asks, how can credit unions become more appealing to younger people? Chuck, do you want to take this one?
I think the first part is just like making younger people aware of what credit unions are. I didn't know what a credit union was till probably a year and a half ago. While at the same time, personally, I completely vibe with the goals and objectives of credit unions. Wanting to actually benefit the community, that's huge. Wanting to care about education, that's huge. That's what we want and want to trust our money with. But if I would have known what a credit union was earlier on, I would be banking with the credit union right now.
Caitlin, did you have any ideas as well?
I am a member at a credit union and I do enjoy like they're very community driven, very like, we're members, we're not just like customers, and that's always a nice feeling. But just definitely keeping up with the times, becoming, getting with modern era situations, being on people's phones instead of, I know plenty of people that are part of credit unions that don't have an app yet and like are still trying to, get on that innovation of technology, but just using like the resources that you have technology wise to like reach your audience is like so big and so important, I feel like.
Awesome. Okay. I think I'm going to have to wrap this up here because it's been an hour now, but this has been a wonderful discussion. And I just wanted to say thank you so much to my lovely college students for joining me. And thank you everybody for watching. Just a reminder, you can demo the Zogo app at our website, zogofinance.com. If you are interested, we think it's a great product and it's perfect for bridging that gap between financial institutions and younger generations. So I would highly recommend checking it out if you haven't already. And yeah, thank you so much to my guests, and thank you everybody for watching. And as mentioned, this will be recorded and posted online. So if you need to revisit anything, you can. And this will also be a monthly webinar. So you can check back next month. We'll have another topic or a more in-depth topic with a new set of college students. So I'm looking forward to that. And I hope everybody has a great rest of their week. Thank you, guys.
Bye.